Hey everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an angel therapy practitioner, Reiki master, and intuitive astrologer. And I'm here with this week's Pick an Angel card reading. These readings are designed to allow you to build on your intuition and to ask your guides and your angels a question in your mind, and then let your intuition guide you as to which reading would be most appropriate for the response to your question. Again, there are 5 readings. I will put the timestamps in the comments below, and you just click on that. So let's just jump right in. Again, I want to say today is Tuesday, November 19th, 2021. I'm not sure if I said that before. We are one day away from the United States presidential inauguration, and we are one day away from Jupiter squaring, which is a tense, conflicting aspect, to Mars and Uranus, which are exact in Taurus. This is a very powerful energy of aggression and anger and of assertiveness. People will be asserting their beliefs. There will be, in some ways, a polarization as a result of that. So be mindful not of other people, but of yourself this week, and the vibrational ripple effect that your belief system, your attitude, your disposition, your demeanor, your behavior will indicate. And I'm not saying that to be judgy. I'm just saying that I believe that people that are attracted to the kind of content that I produce are light beings, and they are here for a purpose much bigger than they might believe. And part of that is to allow yourself to dream, allow yourself to be the light that you are naturally, and allow yourself to be hopeful and to be excited about the future, because as old restrictive structures break down, they will allow us and afford us for new dynamics and new possibilities that we hadn't dreamed of before. So here we go. I'm going to start with reading number 1. Again, these are angel readings, and they are an opportunity to connect with your guides and your angels to get advice and counsel. So for those of you that picked angel reading number 1, we start off with the Kyle Gray card, the Shapeshifter. And it says, transform and unveil your gifts. The Shapeshifter is interesting because it's really a card of flexibility. It's a card that represents the multidimensional dynamics of who we are as a soul, and the opportunities that the physical gives us to experience the different dimensions of what we are. I think of a diamond, and depending upon how you arrange it in the light, it reflects different colors. So I think this is very much about flexibility, not just within your physical being, but within your emotional and spiritual bodies, to seek out the opportunities where there may appear to be obstacles. So in the angel's advice, in our first position, we have the Baird and we have Vanessa. This is very interesting because Vanessa says, will you make your decisions based on faith or fear? And the Baird represents our history. And I go back to the Shapeshifter that is asking me to be flexible, to allow myself to evolve beyond what I know myself to be. And that also plays to the Baird, because the Baird is about the enchantment of storytelling. So what story do you want to tell moving forward as the world shifts, as we walk through these transitions and these potentials that we've never really seen before? The world has united in ways that we couldn't have conceived. It used to be we watched things on the news and they were happening in other places, and now they're all happening to us at the same time. Maybe not in the same degree, but it is giving us a certain commonality that we otherwise would not have been aware of. So I believe for those of you that picked angel reading number 1, the foundation you're sitting on is, what story do I want to tell? And is that story one of faith where I evolve past situations that have otherwise restricted me? Or is it one where I'm telling the same story over and over again? Because in the opportunity and the obstacle is the angel Oceana asking you to take action and lovingly assert yourself towards what brings you wealth. And I don't think that's physical wealth. I think it's harmonious wealth. So I want to clarify. Harmonious wealth is where I feel I'm thriving in many facets of my body. It doesn't represent just materialism. I'm feeling joy within my heart. I'm feeling a certain fulfillment with my purpose on this planet. And Oceana is the angel that is really swimming through the emotional body, reaching for the light within her. And the whale represents the soul's yearning. So to me, this is really an opportunity for you to dig deep. And I want to offer it this way. When I talk about the soul's yearning, oftentimes the initial reaction is to judge whether or not the soul's yearning is viable by the physical experiences we've already had on the planet. So let's say you want to experience more financial freedom. And as you start to muse on the idea of that, you go back to every job you've ever had and the amount of money you made, and you can't see, how will I make more money? Where is that avenue? I know this about myself. I have this skill, and I've only ever made this amount of money. This is where the enchantment of storytelling comes in, where you have an opportunity to rewrite your story based on faith. And your opportunity is to be able to say, I haven't experienced this yet, but I'm willing to lovingly assert myself into the emotional dynamic of my harmonious wealth. Because in the angel's advice, we have the owl, which represents wisdom and deception, 2 coins, one side. And we have Sonia, the angel that represents a deceased loved one. And that deceased loved one is reaching out to us to say, I'm well, I'm here, I'm with you, and I am supporting your physical journey as you endeavor to move yourself towards your own harmonious wealth. And I want to say, for those of you that picked angel reading number 1, I absolutely believe this is a deceased loved one who in their own lifetime may have purported more stoic behaviors, more responsible behaviors, more behaviors that were aligned to what was expected of them versus what they wanted for themselves, which presented both good news and bad news, deception and wisdom, because it provided a certain amount of security, but it was also restrictive. So in the final position is Isabella saying, yes, the timing is right for you to embark upon this new endeavor. And that new endeavor is to evolve into a place where you are the queen. And whether you're a man or a woman, this is not a feminine energy in the sense of gender. This is a receptive energy where, through ease and knowing what I want for myself, being willing to shift and to acknowledge my own growth and my own evolution, and then being willing to sit in a cooperative relationship with those that watch over me from the other side. And rather than beg them to help alleviate a problem, I tell them the story of how it feels once the problem is alleviated. And therefore, they are able to help align me to people, to experiences, and to situations that will support that belief and move myself forward. Yes, the timing is right to move past the limitations of your own mind and to open up to an idea that is much bigger than you've experienced so far in this life. And it doesn't matter how old you are. All right, here we go on to angel reading number 2. For those of you that picked angel reading number 2, we have the Kyle Gray card, the Hermit, which is about retreat and to, what does that say? Retreat and recharge. Can't read backwards. We are going into a Mercury retrograde at the end of January, and there's the storm period before. Mercury represents not just communications, it represents our everyday lives. It represents, traveling, meaning short distances to and from work, to the market, up to, the local, I think I live in Southern California, up to like Santa Barbara, couple hundred miles away. the reason I say that is because the recharge and retreat feels like it's very much about recalibration. It is almost about getting outside of the routine of my everyday activities and allowing myself to sort of take a pause so that I can assess what activities are actually working towards what I want to experience and what activities I am doing that feel like I'm doing them out of habit. So if we look, he's not just resting and recharging, but he has his hands in the Om position. His third eye is painted with a red stripe, which to me represents the base chakra. So to me, this hermit is really slowing things down a bit to reflect on the very base of his life, the very foundation of what it is, and does it really recharge my soul? So let's see. In the angel's advice, in the in the foundational position, we have the angel Francesca. What do you desire right now? Visualize that and it will come about. Negativity will block your progress. I want to offer this to you. For those of you that picked angel reading number 2, trying to be positive when you're feeling challenged is actually like putting gasoline on a fire. You would do better to go into the hermit energy of resting and relaxing, and then allowing the magic of Merlin to bring about justice and balance as you are aware of your focus. And it isn't about trying to resist your focus. It's about allowing yourself a break from your focus if that focus is not serving the greater good of your own life. In the opportunity or the obstacle is Layla asking you to connect with spirit in a way that, again, is a calm, it's a conversation that she's having about the very foundation of her experience on this earthly plane. Many of us have, throughout the world, we have seen, dynamics, our children being at home all the time, schooling them, our jobs shifting and changing. And so we have been offered opportunities rather than to go into fear that what we've known was safe, to recalibrate our safety and the ground we stand on. So talk to spirit about what that looks like, because in your angel's advice is Bridget saying it's time to really look deeper where you could potentially be taking action based on fear. And the reason I say that is because of this letting go card. The letting go card is akin to the song Let It Go from the movie Frozen. It's funny how some distance makes everything look small, and the fears that once controlled me can't get to me at all. It's time to see what I can do to test the limits, to break through. No right, no wrong, no rules for me. I'm free. This is what spirit wants to hear from you. What does your freedom look like? Because up until now, you may be having your conversations both to yourself, your monkey mind, and the conversations you have to your team, all on trying to stave off fear, to try to stop a wheel that isn't really a wheel of momentum, is the way I want to put it. And it's a projection. Yes, there's elements and there's hues of what you fear in your earthly experience right now, but it could be the breaking away that offers you a new foundation to walk on. Because in the final position, the main challenge for those of you that picked angel reading number 2 is your communication, and is your monkey mind, is the mind that's running the scenarios that aren't working for you. Merlin represents a pressurized situation offering alchemy. The burden of communication comes here. That's what this card is saying. And Archangel Gabriel is asking you to give up your insecurities to her energy so that she can transform them. So for those of you that picked angel reading number 2, during this week of incredibly intense and conflicting energies, giving yourself an opportunity to retreat and recharge. And some of that may be not just being able to meditate, but if you're the parent of young children and the lives are very busy, or they're running around the house and things are very crazy. Allowing yourself to listen to a lecture that calms you, or to putting on calming music in the background. Anything that you can do to support yourself to stay in balance, and then continue to speak with spirit. You may not be able to take advantage of Layla advising you to get out into nature, to feel your feet in the ground, but you can feel grounded as your awareness takes you into the present moment. All right, let's go on to angel reading number 3. Our Kyle Gray card, for those of you that picked angel reading number 3, is the Shield Maiden. Make plans and focus. The thing that hits me the most in this is her sword. When we go to the tarot deck, we see the swords representing the air element, and the Ace of Swords represents focused thought. So the shield to me is not about warding off an attacker as much as being mindful of my own focus. Being able to focus on what I want is indeed my shield. So in the angels' foundational position, we have Maya, the angel of schooling and education, and we have the wind fairy. Right now, for those of you that picked angel reading number 3, we start off with the sword representing focused thought. We go into Maya, representing schooling and education, and then we go to the wind fairy, which represents thoughts, analysis, and intellectual endeavors. And I feel like this is very much a week where you will be mindful, be aware of your thoughts, and the opportunity and or the obstacle is to see that your thoughts are creating your abundance. And some of your thoughts may actually threaten others. And I'm not surprised with this week with Mars and Uranus squaring the planet of beliefs, Jupiter. But there is nourishment and abundance. There is a wisdom to all of this as you go through the flow of, rather than trying to convince others to follow your thought process, you make plans and you focus strictly on your own endeavors. Because in the angel's advice, we have the horse and we have Yvonne. And in this particular case, I feel like the horse is very much asking me to not only delegate to spirit any of my abundance, but also to go in a different direction with my thoughts, in the idea of being vulnerable to the bigger thoughts that serve me. When I'm making plans, I don't know how they're going to work out. And there's all sorts of colloquialisms, God laughs while we're busy making plans. That's not necessarily true. What I believe is that for those of you that picked angel reading number 3, you're going to see an ebb and a flow within your thoughts. You may this week feel on some level very intentional, and then at the same time very foggy about whether or not that intention can your sword cut through the fog. And in the foundation, in the final position, we have the answer is yes. And I say that because Celeste represents a shift in my thoughts. It talks about a move to a happy home or a new place of employment, but wherever you put my physical body, I act on my thoughts. I act on my beliefs. I act on my attitude. And then there's the truth card. So what I think is going to happen for those of you that picked angel reading number 3 is that this week you're going to observe your thoughts, your beliefs, and the actions that you take as a result of those thoughts. I think you will see that some of your thoughts are it's fine to strategize and to anticipate obstacles along the path. Now, how much time am I going to spend focusing on the obstacle, or am I going to focus in on the opportunity once the obstacle is overcome? Because I've got to be vulnerable to the bigger truth of what I want, and that is going to sit squarely in the unknown. It's not going to be revealed to you. There's not going to be oh yes, I get to start that company today. It's going to be more about planning how I want to roll out that new website, or what I want to do on my YouTube channel, or what next TikTok video I want to do that will draw in new viewers. This is very much about going to a deeper truth of being willing to look at what it is that you think and not judging it, not making it negative or trying to release it or exterminate it, but just identifying whether it works or it doesn't work for you. And if it doesn't work for you, connecting with your guides and your angels to help you move your focus into the direction that does work for you. All right, let's go on to angel reading number 4. And for those of you that picked angel reading number 4, interesting. I pulled the Kyle Gray card, the Arrow, and underneath it says, surround yourself with protective energy. This very much has a Native American vibe. You know, when we break our arrow, we are reflecting peace. But when I look at this, I feel like this is about focused thought again, for those of you that picked angel reading number 4. Surround yourself with protective energy does not necessarily feel like a call to take arms as much as it's an awareness of where my focus is. I personally have gone on a media detox. I have not completely stopped watching the news or being unaware of world events, but I can feel a bubbling up inside of me when I've gotten too much information, and it's starting to trigger some defeated energies within me, feelings of hopelessness in some ways. It's a very volatile time on this journey of life. And there's a lot of unknown twists and turns that can scare us. So to me, to surround myself with protective energy is to call upon my guides and my angels to help direct my thoughts into ones that support a bigger picture of why I'm here and what I want to experience. Because no matter how dark the times have been on this planet, there are humans that are experiencing a light dynamic because they're here holding the balance. So for those of you that picked angel reading number 4 in the foundational position, we have Merlina and we have the birth and the rebirth card. There is absolutely a transformation coming that you cannot see. I feel like there is a new beginning happening, but on some level, this is a new beginning based on the old dynamic. And you really have no idea how it's going to play out because you don't have enough information right now. The world is shifting. We're going through transitions that are unprecedented, and we're going through old cycles in new ways. So in your opportunity and or your obstacle is the dog and mystique. This is your opportunity, without a doubt, is to seek out sincerity in the world around you, to seek out loyalty, invite it in, and to be that energy and to continue on through the dark and into the light. This feels very much like a call to focus in on your energy, the arrow being very akin to the swords, the Ace of Swords in the tarot deck, the swords representing the air element, which represents the mental, intellectual, the mind. So seeing a greater wisdom to the darkness, that it is going to afford us more loving experiences as we step into that vibration. In the angel's advice, we have Omega, and we have the deer. This is 2 magical unicorns coming back to back. This is a time of gentleness and diplomacy as we walk through this volatile time. And instead of giving into the frustration and unrest, we rather stand in, I'm going to just pay attention to me. And I'm going to surround myself with people who are not buying into the unrest, that are not going into too broad of a place of a lack of influence, but rather tucking into, what do I have influence over? I have influence over myself. I have influence over my own perceptions. And if indeed my perception is one of angst or one of unrest, I have a choice. How do I display that? Because in the final position, there is a dynamic here. This is the restriction card and Serena. And Serena is the angel of abundance. And I could talk about money. I could say this is a restriction of money, but I don't believe that's true right now. I believe it's the serenity that she's depicting. I believe that this week is a week that feels very anxiety ridden. Uranus represents nervous breakdowns, represents electricity, kinetic energy that makes us feel anxious. So this week, for those of you that picked angel reading number 4, your mind is in some ways both the good news and the bad news, because it could start down a road that starts to tell you stories that put you in a vibration that doesn't serve your calm, your peace of mind. So connecting with spirit and saying, I don't know what's going on here. So thank you for internally giving me a sense of peace and calm as I walk through this dynamic. And that sense of gentility that I'm having for myself as I wobble back and forth between feeling a sense of safety and feeling a sense of vulnerability to things out of my control gives that feeling of sincerity and loyalty in the ripple effect out into the world, and thereby allowing God and the angels to open me up to things that only they can facilitate right now, because the human cannot imagine it in this limited physical experience. All right, let's go on to angel reading number 5. Sorry, 5. And final. Our Kyle Gray card is the Elder. Move beyond our ancestral patterns. Ancestral patterns are not just ethnic. They are within our DNA. I happen to come from a line of people who love spirits. They love to drink, and on both sides of my family. So one of the ancestral patterns that I have personally is a tendency to go to drink just naturally. Oh, let's go have a drink. Let's have that wine here. It's just part of the natural experience of how we roll. Well, this particular year in June, on June 30th, I went to bed. I had a glass of wine with dinner, and I woke up on July 1st and had no appetite for alcohol whatsoever. And that has been the theme moving forward. And I feel like I'm moving beyond ancestral patterns, because that even the little bit of drinking I was doing was creating a fog I was unaware of. And it wasn't until I moved beyond that pattern that I was able to see that I was feeling foggy at all. I didn't know I was feeling foggy. So for those of you that picked angel reading number 5, I ask you to look into your own family history, but not in a way of judging it, but what patterns are you purporting on an unconscious level that have been not serving you? And what are you willing to do to move beyond them? In the foundational position, Spirit is saying, take a stance of leadership for yourself. It isn't about getting into an energy that is too prideful. I'm too old to do this. I'm too naive to do that. I don't have enough money for this. But to lovingly assert yourself into a sense of leadership for yourself. And that leadership looks like, what do I want for me? Because in the opportunity or the obstacle is Archangel Michael asking you to have the courage to make those changes that you want, to move beyond those ancestral patterns. And it is an unstable beginning. It's something you may have thought about. You may be trying to quit smoking cigarettes or something else right now, and you're just struggling with it. But if indeed you're doing it, take it just a little bit. When I used to smoke cigarettes, and I'm just using this as an example. I tried to quit for almost a decade, and it wasn't until I cognated that the reason that I smoked wasn't because I enjoyed smoking. It was because I did it to bond with my father. The only time he talked to me was when we were smoking cigarettes together, because we were the only two in the family. So as I recognized that I associated a sense of love and fatherly love with cigarettes, then I could unassociate it. And I could change the pattern. Because in the angel's advice is Fiona asking you to allow God and the angels to help you illuminate where your focus is. For 40 years that I smoked, I did not realize I was smoking because I wanted to connect with somebody who was not connectable to. There was never any depth of relationship. And I know it went two ways, because I'm pretty sure my father felt judged because I was always feeling unworthy in his eyes. So I was probably reflecting that back towards him. So I say this because Spirit is asking those of you that picked angel reading number 5 to look into your ancestral patterns and to stand in leadership and lovingly take one teeny weeny step at a time and be courageous in those steps, because that's what it's going to take. Constant courage and bravery, and ask yourself, am I worthy? Am I more worthy than I've experienced? Because in the final position, Spirit is saying, yes, you are, and allow your inner child to thrive. Allow the true dreamer, the true receiver, the true manifester to thrive, because the timing is right, to allow for the old to sit in its rightful place and the new to emerge. And when I say the new, it's really the new is the old. And because that inner child has been with you, that inner child represents a part of your oversoul that knows much more than your personality and your ego will tell you. So as you take these small steps of self-love and these small steps that say, I'm just going to give it a try and see what happens today, then I think you're going to find more success and more courage, and it's going to build a momentum of its own. All right, everybody, that's it for this week's messages, or pick an angel reading. I don't know why I can't get that running off my tongue very well. And for those of you that made it all the way to the end, I am offering a special this month, January. It is a past life reading. I'm offering $20 off. I look at your astrological chart, your south and your north node, and analyze where you've been, where your soul has been, and how it is influencing where you are today and where you want to move forward. So if you're interested in taking advantage of that special, reach out to me through my website, info@terihunter.com. It's in the description below. And if you'd like to get a personal reading for me, those are available as well. Again, reach out via email and I can send you information and pricing on that. So thank you so much, everybody. I'll be back next week on Tuesday with Pick an Angel reading. I will be doing these every week. So thanks for liking, subscribing, commenting, and sharing. And I'll see you next week. Peace out.